Hey guys, it's Jenna. You might be noticing a different background and a lack of Mary, and that's just because I'm doing this video alone today. You might also notice my cat's head poking up here every once in a while. But today I'm going to be talking about the car crash I was in yesterday and do a quick story time about my experience. So I guess I should kind of explain why I'm making this video, and it's not for sympathy or pity or anything like that. I'm doing this to inform people I didn't get to tell because I was kind of hush about it. So people who don't know about it, they know and they can be informed on it. And also for my memory, because it was such a big thing for me, I want to remember it years down the line because I feel like I'm gonna, forget it, and I want to be able to remember it, as weird as that sounds. So every single day I drive to school, and I go to cosmetology school, so I have to commute to a community college that offers cosmetology, and that's about 30 minutes away, and I take like a big highway there every single day. So in the morning, I get ready, I go to school, or I get in my car, and since it's winter, I let my car run in the morning. So I had, so while my car is warming up, I do my makeup in the car. And that's kind of why I'm not wearing makeup today, well, you'll figure it out. But, so I had all my makeup in my passenger seat and open my makeup case, and then I head off to school. Drive through back roads, get on the highway, all is good, listening to music, and, just driving. And I get to a part of the highway where this is what I remember from it, because I've heard a couple, the police officer and witnesses kind of saw it differently, but this is my view of it, and that's all I can pretty much tell you. I can tell you both sides, but I'm going to tell you my side first. So I was in the left lane, all the way on the left, and there was the center lane and then the right lane. So it was a 3-lane highway. And the right lane was an exit off of the highway. The center lane was backed up with traffic, and the left lane, which I was in, was empty. There was a car maybe a long ways down, but not to where I had to, lay on my brakes every minute or so, it was traffic. So I'm driving down, speed limit, perfectly safe, 2 hands on the wheel, safe driver, you know me. And I see the sign of traffic, and I'm kind of wondering, I'm why aren't they in this lane? Why am I the only person in this lane? And I was oh wait, that's the exit. They can't kind of get into my lane because they're exiting. So I'm driving along, and then all of a sudden, I see this black truck, pull out, starting to pull out, and I was oh shit, and I slam on my brakes, and then I realized there is not enough room for me to come to a complete stop here. I'm going to hit this car. So, I slam on my brakes as hard as I can. I hear my brakes, and all of a sudden, here I am crashing into this car. Really bad. This part I don't really remember, just because it all happened so quickly and I was so scared. But I do remember hitting the car, and then all of a sudden I'm upside down. I had my hands on the ground, but it was the roof of my car, and I was just yelling. I was no way, this isn't happening, no way, no. Because this is the kind of stuff that you only imagine happening in movies. How did that happen? And then, I literally felt myself moving upside down, sliding across the highway. And there was glass everywhere. All of my makeup that was on my passenger seat went everywhere, all my sunglasses everywhere, everything in my car was just thrown around. My phone, my Fitbit was in the cup holder because I was gonna put it on once I got to school because I charged it the night before. Little things. And then once I stop, I'm like sitting there, I'm screaming, like freaking out, like not crying yet, just kind of like, oh my god, I need to call someone, I'm gonna be stuck here. And honestly, what I thought of was that my car was going to explode any second now. So, I'm fumbling around looking for my phone, but I still have my seatbelt on because I'm like, I don't want to take my seatbelt off. Like, what if I fall into whatever? I'm waiting for someone. I'm not going to take my seatbelt off. That's what I was told, like, in places, like, you don't move until someone gets you out. I don't know what injuries I had. I looked down, my hand was covered in blood. Yes. My hand was covered completely in blood running down my arm as much as it could because I had my jacket on, so my jacket was kind of like catching the blood too. But I was looking for my phone. I was like, I need to call 911. I need to call my mom. At this point, I had got my phone was in my hand, and I hear voices coming from my driver's side. So I looked to my driver's side. They're like, oh, she's in there, single driver, female, young, whatever. And then I hear someone on my passenger side. So I look to my passenger side, and as I look, they break the glass on my window into my face. Obviously not intentionally, but I was looking straight at the glass when it shot into my face. And they were like, okay, can you move? Can you get out of the car? They're like, I think it's better if, talking to each other, like the people, EMTs, police officers, whatever. They were talking to each other. They're like, I think it's better if she goes out the driver's side. So like, can you undo your seatbelt? So I undid my seatbelt, fell, obviously. I was totally perpendicular in my car. Obviously I was hanging from my seatbelt, so my butt was like still in the seat, but my body was down and I was like on the roof, like in my passenger side. So I was like, I don't know how to explain it. I hope you get it. But yeah, so I basically turned around, climbed out of my car, had my blanket. I always have this blanket in my car just because, like, it's winter, it's cold, I like to be warm. So I had my blanket on me. I don't even know, like, how I kept that on me this whole time. But, had my blanket, got out of the car, then I started crying because I saw my car. And I'll insert a picture of what my car looks like. Because, like, that, I was in that, and that's terrifying. And so I realized, I was like, everything is in my car. Like, all my makeup just probably broke. And I probably have no makeup, which, yes, it's the least of my worries. My health comes first. I get that. But in the moment, you're like, my life just flashed before my eyes, and, like, the little things. And like I said, I am in cosmetology school where a requirement is to wear makeup. I don't have any makeup to put on, and I also don't have the money to go out and buy everything I just lost. I had 2 Urban Decay Naked palettes in there. I had all my foundations, my concealers, my everything in there. Like, I can't just replace that by tomorrow to go to school or whatever. All my supplies for cosmetology school, my kit, everything. My backpack was in there, my graduation tassel, all my sunglasses, like I said before, like the little things. And then the main thing, I don't have a car. Sitting there crying hysterically, like, I don't have a car. Then my thought was, I can't get to school today. Cosmetology school is based on hours. So you need 1,200 hours in order to get your license. And the way my school runs is that if you're late or absent, you also get points on top of, like, losing your hours for the day. And the more points you have, the lower your grade gets. So I was already absent because of, like, weather, and my mom kind of wouldn't let me go in because of the weather. And so then now I have 2 absences, all these points, and I'm like, I'm gonna fail. And I'm not the kind of person that's okay with failing, especially not in something that I love, like cosmetology. So that was, like, not cool with me. So I emailed my teacher, like, shaking. I was like, I got into a car crash, can't come into school today. Okay. Then well, actually before this, but I'm gonna explain it now. I called my mom and I told her, I was like, Mom, I was in a car crash, and then the EMT lady kind of like took my phone from me because she could tell that I was like hysterics and my mom needed correct information, not me crying on the side of the road. And she told her everything that happened. She handed her back to me. I was like, Mom, like just crying. She was like, okay, I'll be there, I'll be there. And she was still like 30 minutes away, kind of back home. So then I hang up the phone with my mom. She's on her way. They're like, is there anyone else you want to call? And I said, let me just call my boyfriend. So I call up Brian, and I told him what happened, and I told him I keep him updated on everything, whatever. Then I'm kind of sitting on the side of the road, still in hysterics, still wondering, how did that happen to me, you know? Because, like, again, that's the kind of stuff that happens in movies, not in real life. Then I was kind of waiting for a while. My hand hurt so bad. My finger hurt so bad. It was still bleeding so bad. Everything so bad. So I was sitting on the side of the road. Traffic was going past, and every few people that passed were recording or had their phone out. And that I remember making, like, yelling at these people, and the EMT lady that I was with, she was, like, annoyed as well, because, like, I could have died in that accident, and you're, like, is the best thing that happened to these people the fact that they saw an upside down car? Like, have you never seen a movie? Like, why is the most interesting thing my car upside down? Why is it so interesting to you that you have to record it? What are you gonna do with it? Like, why do you need to record it? So I was sitting on the side of the road watching all these people being douchebags, and I get a text from my friend. She's like, why aren't you at school? You're so fake. And I was like, girl, I was in a car crash. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, don't tell anyone. I don't want anyone to know. I don't want, all these texts from people being like, oh my god, hope you're okay, thinking about you. So I told her not to tell anyone, and, apparently everyone in the class was like, oh, where's Jenna? Where's Jenna? Because I'm never absent. So it was, like, kind of weird that I was absent, I guess. So they were, like, curious as to why. But, I was sitting on the side of the road, kind of telling those three people, my mom, my boyfriend, and my friend from school, my best friend from school. Then, after a while of waiting, because apparently there was a bunch of other accidents on the road that day. Apparently there were 6 car accidents in the course of 10 minutes. And since the day had started, I was the 18th car crash that day at 8:30 in the morning. That's crazy. But no, I was waiting for my ambulance, finally get into the ambulance, and I decided, I was like, I have no idea what I look like right now. They said that my lip was bleeding, so I was like, what does my face look like? Am I bleeding anywhere else? So I took a picture. I took this picture, and I sent it to my boyfriend, my best friend from class, and then my overall best friend, Amanda. Now, mind you, I didn't tell Amanda what had happened. Like, Brianna knew, and Ryan knew, but Amanda kind of just got this picture and was like, what? So then I had to kind of explain to her as well. And so I'm in the ambulance going there. My mom got to the scene. She took pictures. She took the picture I showed first of my car. I didn't take that picture. So I get to the hospital, and they wheel me into a room, and I'm just kind of sitting there, and they're, like, talking to me, getting all my information, asking, like, what happened, all this. They told me I was going to go for CT scans and CAT scans just because of the severity of my car crash, and I was seemingly fine. And they were like, there's no way. Like, there's, we have to check for internal bleeding. We have to check for anything, if there's any glass stuck in her body somewhere. Because how do you have a car that looked like my car? How does that happen to you? And then all I had was this cut on my finger and my lip. Like, those were the only 2 injuries I had. Like, they were like, maybe not. So I kind of waited for a while. Ryan, my boyfriend, ended up showing up. seeing me at the hospital. My mom was there, and my mom's boyfriend Mike was there too. So I was just kind of like waiting around. I had all this glass in my hair, so my mom like took all the glass out of my hair. And I'll try to see if I can get a picture of that too, how much glass is in my hair. If I can, it'll be up right now. But that's not even all of it. They took a lot of it out, like at the crash site. That was just kind of what was stuck. I had my hair in like 2 braids, so that was like what was stuck like in the braids. So then I was just in the hospital. I was in the hospital for a while, just kind of waiting on the results of the scans, and my hand was still bleeding. Because, alright, if the background shifted a little bit, it's because my brother just called me. So I'm just going to pick up where I left off. So my hand was still bleeding. They had me soak it in the stuff because they thought that there was like maybe glass stuck in my cuts. So I was like soaking this thing and turned my hand like all yellow. It's not, I mean, you can kind of see like on my pinky, it's still yellow a bit. But I was like soaking the stuff. So I kind of was walking around like this the whole time because like this finger was still like really raw. It hurt really bad. There was like a huge cut on top and then a cut down the side. So kind of waiting for the results and waiting for my hand to be taken care of. So I'm saying so a lot. Sorry. So I got to the hospital probably around 9, and it wasn't until 4:30 maybe that I got the attention for my hand. She came in, she numbed it up, like, which felt really weird. It like hurt just as bad as without the numbing. It was just like a different kind of pain. Like it was like so much pressure on my finger as opposed to like burning, stinging. But she cut off the skin that was like hanging off. She dug around like in the cut on the side because there was like a bulge, so she thought that like there was a piece of glass stuck in it. And she did all that, and then I got 2 stitches, and she wrapped it up in gauze, and I went home, or I was sent out of the hospital. And that's when we had to go to like the yard thing that my car was at, where they towed my car to, and get all my stuff out of my car. Drove over there, and I remember in that car ride, I think it was like about 5 minutes, and I was freaking out just being in a car, and I was so aware of everyone, and it was just scary because I was like worried because there was no sign that guy that cut me off was going to cut me off. There was no blinker, he didn't like peek his head out. He just straight up like cut me off, and I just kept thinking like, is that gonna happen again? Like I just remember being like really paranoid in that moment, and I heard a fire engine, and I just heard the sound of that, the cops, the ambulances, they all kind of like sound the same. And I remember like hearing that and just like flashing back to like when the ambulance came to get me. So got to my car, and I'll insert a few pictures here of that as well, just so you get a better idea of how my car looked after the accident, because I think the pictures say a lot, and they explain a lot. Obviously a picture's worth 1,000 words, but you can really see like I should have been in worse condition than having 2 stitches in my finger and a cut on my lip. How am I not still in the hospital in like a trauma center, But got all my stuff out of my car. Most of it was like in my trunk because they kind of sweep up the ground and just throw everything in the trunk. I pretty much got everything out. My Fitbit, like I said before, got that. Everything's still in my mom's car. We kind of just put everything in like bags and boxes and put it in her car so we can like clean off all the glass from it, because there was like a lot of glass everywhere from the windshield and the windows and all that. My makeup is the most incredible thing, the most surprising thing. I kept sitting there thinking, Like, I just had, like I said, I had 2 naked palettes. And I have 1 naked palette that I'll drop it from like a foot and it breaks. These went in a car crash, and we opened them and they weren't even a little bit like damaged. They were perfectly fine. They looked brand new. The only reason I still don't have makeup on is because, like I said, all that stuff is still in my mom's car, but also because I really need to clean it and decide whether or not I can use it, just because there still might be glass on it, and if that's the case, it might just have to be discarded. I'm not risking putting glass in my eye. But I'll assess that, and I'll probably, figure out all that makeup stuff later, but that's not really a concern for me right now. I also got in my car. Then we came home. Finally home at like 6 p.m. and took a shower because there were still little bits of glass in my hair. I still had blood on my face in tiny places, and I just needed a shower. After all that, I just needed a shower. Put my hand in a glove because it can't get wet, and then had dinner here with my boyfriend, and my best friend Amanda came over to see me. And all throughout the night, I kept getting like messages from people saying like, oh, I'm thinking of you, all this stuff, and I'm like, how do you know that I got into a car crash? I didn't tell you. My mom posted it on her Facebook, which, okay. I guess it's nice to know that people, know what happened, but, like, I didn't tell anyone because I didn't really want anyone to know until I could tell them myself, But then, like, throwback to when I said people were recording me, turns out a girl in my class's mom recorded it and sent it to her, and so my whole class knew, which slightly annoying because, like I said, I was trying to keep it from people until I could tell them myself because I didn't want people to think that I was in critical condition. I wanted to tell people that I was okay and not have people assume things or reach out to me and ask me what's wrong. Like, I will tell you, just don't make these assumptions about me, because when you see that, you're like, oh my god, is she dead? But I want to be able to tell people myself, like, hey, I'm okay. Like, I got into a car crash, but I'm okay. And I did end up telling a few more people. I told Mary. I pretty much am telling everyone now, but never take anything for granted. All the doctors and everyone that, my mom, who commented on my mom's post, they were saying how lucky I was and how blessed I was, and at first I was like, okay, but then, after seeing my car afterwards and, really thinking about it, I am really lucky, and I am really blessed that after all that I flipped. I apparently was airborne. My car was airborne, and I slid across the guardrail for 150 feet, and all I get is a hurt finger, 2 stitches in my finger, and that's something that I'm gonna be thankful for. My head hurts, but I think that's just because how could it not, like, how you go through that, like, you have a headache, but that's the story of my car crash. I don't know how much I'll edit it because I kind of want this to be a talky video because I want you to see my thought process and my, how I actually see it versus all these jump cuts of, a perfectly edited video, because in reality, this situation shouldn't have to be perfected. This was a one take. Literally took this in one take. Didn't know what I was going to say. And this was the outcome. But yeah, so if you enjoyed the video, I guess give it a thumbs up. And I hope you all stay safe on the roads. Use your blinkers if you cut people off, whatever. But I hope you have a nice day.